Welcome, people of the World Wide Web, and look what I'm watching, episode 2. So, what have I been watching for you this week? So, I've gone a slightly different route from last week. It was all about Netflix Online, so we've gone for the hardcore. So, I have these three for you. There we go. A bit shown. So, we'll go one by one. So, the first one is Escape from Hungshi. Let's get the glare off it. There we go. So, I've had this one quite a while. I did like Chow Yun Fat. So yeah, quite didn't really know what it was about. One of those purchase buys, I think it was cheap, sealed one for like £2. And yeah, so didn't know this was based on a true story. I believe it's 1939 Japan, when there was a war. I'm not the biggest history buff, so I don't know all the ins and outs. And yeah, basically the main bloke, if I can ever remember his name, is Jonathan Rhys Myers. That's it. He is a journalist and he sneaks his way into Japan to basically document what's going on, as a journalist would do. He sees some quite horrific sights and then, due to a set of circumstances, ended up at a boys' orphanage, and then it's kind of his story of what happens, of him being at the orphanage, the people he meets, and then kind of the journey with the people there, and then he moves on to something. Now, to me, it did remind me a little bit of Schindler's List, if you've ever seen that. You know, being war and there being kind of the repercussions of war and how it affects people in different ways and how people are affected. Because this is a true story, I would recommend, if you do watch this, hang around to the very end. Some of the characters, shall we say, that are in the film, there are the real life people speaking at the end of it, and it was really good to see that side of it. I'm glad that obviously, you know, this is I think it's 1939, so you're talking almost 80 years have passed, and there are people that are still alive. So it's good to know that, and good to see that signs of it. And the story was good, acting was really good. Obviously, it's a very hard one to do when you have war and, you know, death and violence and stuff, and I think this was quite good. I mean, they don't show too much graphic violence. There are bits, but I think it's as I say, it's basically the main character's story, and I think they did it well for us. You know, I really enjoyed it. It was, you know, I happily sat down. It's like just over 2 hours, so, you know, it kept me engaged. I liked it, so yeah. So I definitely recommend this. As I say, it says Escape from Hungshi, but I think if you go on the internet and IMDb, it says Children of Hungshi. I don't know. I couldn't find why the title of the chain has changed, or why it was called. I suspect because I think obviously most of these are American accents, except for there. But obviously this is a production between Australia and China or Japan, or the Asian area. So I imagine that maybe that had part of it. But yeah, it's a good, I say, not one I've come across, ever seen another before, but I would recommend, definitely. That's one. So the second one we have Stay. So as you might see, quite a few famous faces. Naomi Watts, good old Ewan McGregor, can get his name out. Right, and then obviously Ryan Gosling in the middle, very young Ryan Gosling there, even young. So this was very good and kind of threw me for a little bit. So the premise is that Ryan Gosling is a troubled lad. He is 20. Ewan McGregor is his psychiatrist, and Naomi Watts is Ewan McGregor's girlfriend, I would say. She obviously has had a troubled past. As he is a psychiatrist, he's filling in for a colleague, and Ryan Gosling is obviously one of his patients, or new patients that he has, and he basically tells himself he's going to commit suicide. He's going to do it midnight on Saturday. Then what happens is a set of events where you meet other characters and stuff, and everything is a little bit surreal. It does keep you very much on your toes. It has a very good ending, and leading up to the ending, some of the weird kind of, not special effects, but how they frame scenes and certain and certain setups, and how like they filmed in specific buildings and specific. I'm trying to think of the right word now. So yeah, basically it's meant to kind of blur the senses a little bit, and that makes sense when you realise at the very end what is actually happening. And I thought that, the ending and the twist was very, very good. Obviously, good acting all round. Up until the ending, it does throw you, as I say, with the scenery and stuff, and there's weird like a spiral staircase. All optical illusions. That's the kind of word I was looking for and stuff. And that it is meant to throw your mind off things stuff sometimes. Some scenes are a bit blurry, and if you interesting that they use sets of twins and triplets throughout stuff, so you'll constantly see people in the background wearing the same outfit that look the same and stuff, and it's all supposed to play with your head a little bit. And to me, it was. I mean, I didn't guess the ending at all, which I'm. If you've seen any of my videos previously, I'm normally quite good at guessing stuff, even that isn't as obvious. But yeah, this totally threw me, and it was throwing me up to this point. And because it was literally like you meet characters and stuff is happening, and they kind of mention it could be supernatural, and I'm like, but it doesn't explain this or it doesn't explain that, and then. Like it's spiral staircase, and then the camera's swirling, it's kind of blurring all into one, and I'm like, right, is this in that person's head? And obviously he has, Ewan McGregor has moments where he kind of relives a few scenes, and as you say, you're a bit like, well, he's not the mental patient, but is he? And then it definitely makes keeps you guessing, it keeps you on your toes and stuff. So again, I would definitely recommend. Obviously it does get a little weird, I would say, in the middle bit, and I say it did throw me off because I was a bit on, and at the ending I was like, okay, the ending kind of brought it back, and it did make perfect sense once you knew that. But because they keep it so distant away from everything, it does, you sit there and be like, well, I'm not really sure what is even happening to whom. So yeah, so I definitely recommend. But obviously, again, this is, I think, a few hours, maybe an hour and 40, an hour and 50. Let me find the time if I can. I can't even see it, so I'm not. Anyway, it's the best part of 2 hours. If you're going to watch it, stay to the end, because obviously you don't want to miss. Once you miss the twist, it makes sense. And obviously, if you get bored halfway through, it's pointless. I don't want people to waste an hour of their time, so you definitely stay. So then the third one we have is Steve Jobs. If I can get it in post. So obviously got lots of rave reviews. Now I thought this was alright. Having watched previously Jobs, so the Ashton Kutcher version first, over this, I'm going to say straight out, I preferred the Ashton Kutcher one. Just the acting, the story, and the way it's panned out. This one was very much highlights specific moments in Jobs' life. And obviously quite pinnacle ones. He has some interactions with the people around him, but as you get on this and you get one, it didn't seem like he had very good communication skills, so to speak. And when you realise and when you watch this, you understand obviously he is the figurehead of like Apple and stuff, and he is always remembered of everything. But when you watch these films, you actually learn that he has no technical background. He designed nothing to do with it. He was just the person who guided everybody in this direction, or thought this is what they should do, and his plan ultimately did work. But yeah, this only shows a few key scenes. This does have a bit more with him and his daughter, which isn't featured in the other movie. But I say the other one, and I say because this is based on several key points of his life, it's good, but I like to kind of know more about the character. And with Steve Jobs, you learn very much from day one. This is what happened. They're in the garage. They're having up with a concept, and then it goes all the way up to the very end of it, and you get to see a lot more of how he is as a person. And even though he's not necessarily, I say he hasn't got personal skills, with the other one, you learn to understand why he's like that a little bit. Whereas this one, it just comes off as not a very nice person, to very put it subtly. I say, obviously not, my opinion is very different, because obviously this got loads of rave reviews from all these people. But, personally I like the other one, and it may be because I watched one rather than the other. I might have watched this first and enjoyed it, and then watched Steve Jobs. Maybe that was an impact, I don't know. But definitely worth a watch. I would not screw this over and say definitely best to watch both of them, because as I say, they covered, even though this one is covered quite a lot in Jobs, you learn a lot more about his life in a bigger whole and understand it, whereas this is like only a few people that he works with and stuff. So there we go. So that's what I've been watching. I have watched a few other bits and stuff, but I'm not going to bore you with it this week. So I'm Cypher Sigmund. I'm signing off for this week.